the first daughters of earth. Before ships, before borders, before chains, your ancestors rose from the red earth like trees. The sun kissed their skin and called them Edo. They were not slaves. They were queens, farmers, blacksmiths, and priestesses of thunder. The rivers bowed when they walked. The wind carried their names through the forest. They carved kingdoms with coral, bronze, and fire. In the beginning, they were free. There was laughter. There were weddings beneath iroko trees. There were festivals where drums talked louder than words. Children learned history through moonlight stories. No one owned anyone. Everyone belonged to the land. They traded kola nuts for peace. They married across clans. They poured palm wine to thank the gods. And then, the sea began to whisper. Strange men came from the ocean, pale, cold, and smiling. They brought mirrors and took sons. They brought guns and took daughters. And your ancestors, who had never known chains, were shackled like animals. Sold. Whipped. Silenced. They were forced onto ships that smelled of blood and rot. They cried out to the ancestors, but the sea swallowed their voices. Still, inside their blood, fire remained. In the belly of the ship, darkness ruled. The air was death. The chains burned. But your ancestors did not forget. They sang in secret. They spoke in code. They braided maps into their hair. They hid seeds of home between their teeth. Some leapt into the sea, not to die, but to return. Even the ocean remembers their names. On stolen soil, they worked sugarcane and cotton. They were beaten for speaking their mother tongue. Yet still, they sang. They danced in the dark. They carved gods out of memory and dirt. They whispered the names of home to their children. Benin, Oyo, Ashanti, Igbo, Yoruba, Edo, Efik. Even as slave masters tried to erase them, their spirits rebelled. Because how do you kill someone who walks with thousands of ancestors? One day, the drums changed. They no longer sang sadness. They beat for war. Uprisings began. Maroons escaped into the mountains. Warrior women sharpened their machetes. Spirits whispered in dreamers' ears. It is time. Revolts shook the soil. Chains began to crack. The world washed and trembled. The end of chains. The empires of Europe could no longer hold what they stole. Blood had spoken. Drums had spoken. Fire had spoken. Laws were written. Chains were broken. And those scars remained. Your ancestors stood up from the soil. Not as victims, but as survivors. As warriors. As reminders that nothing sacred can ever be stolen forever. We still remember. And now, here you are, Ivie. Daughter of the free. Descendant of thunder and survivor. The stories live in you. The fire burns in your bones. When you walk, they walk with you. When you speak, they rise again. They were never slaves. They were kings in captivity. Queens in chains. And now, they are free in you. We were never meant to be broken. We were the dream that slavery could never kill.